Hi, welcome back to the Engineering Conversations, and today we have a female engineer from South Africa. Her background in engineering is in chemical engineering, and her name is Andrea. I'll let her introduce herself much more into depth as this interview goes along. So Andrea, do you want us to tell us what aspects of chemical engineering you are into?
Hi everybody, I'm all the way from KwazuNatal, South Africa, the best place to be. If the borders are open and you can come and visit. Let me put it that way. So I have a BSc in chemical engineering with honors that I obtained at the University of KwazuNatal. That's my alma mater. My working experience lies in metal and mining, which is not really chemical engineering based, but more on the metallurgy side. Okay. It's not by choice. That sort of avenue chose me because I got a bursary with the company. But my personal interest in chemical engineering is more of an overall perspective. I am striving towards going to more of a project-based environment where I can work in more with water-related or food industry. That's actually something that I'm working towards moving towards. I'm relatively new. I came out of as a graduate in 2018, and I started working. And it's 2020, so it's almost only 3 years experience. But we're young. That's how we learn. Yeah. And so I'm hoping to get into more of that project-based environment. Currently, I'm studying. I'm doing my postgrad diploma in project management, so you can see that's where my heart is, and we'll see where.
That's really good. People don't realize that even under chemical engineering, there are lots of broad fields that you can go into, and that metals, mining is also under that as well. So, what inspired you into engineering?
For me, it was I was the nerdy kid at school, the one that used to study on a Friday night. That was me. And when we had to choose our subjects, I think it was when we were in grade 10, we had to choose subjects. So I chose physical science, accounting, and life science. So that was physics, chemistry, biology. So that's what I chose to do to complete till I finished high school. Okay. And I remember sitting in physics class and we learn about how things work. Gravity, force equals mass times acceleration. And I read more into it, and that's where the idea of engineering came about. And I got to learn that, okay, it's not just engineering, there's mechanical engineering, there's civil engineering, computer engineering, chemical engineering, and all of these different disciplines, and now I have to choose, okay, which one would I fit into? And I did a few, I went the normal route. I did the career aptitude test, and I spoke to people, and I was like, chemical engineering, that's the one I want to do. When you read articles, when you watch TV, you see all of these things take place. Drugs being formed, and I mean the good drugs, not bad drugs. You see pencils, a simple thing like a pencil that started from nothing, and it's now a pencil. Just the other day, I was watching a very random thing on TV about baked beans, and a factory on how baked beans is produced. And you think to yourself, wow, and it made me actually reminisce about those days when I was thinking about why did I actually go into engineering, and it's those little things. Engineering is something that it impacts the world, and it's in every kind of fraternity you can think of, whether it's medical, whether it's construction, even in finance. Engineering is involved, and I wanted to be a part of that. And I thought to myself, wow, this is something I want to do. I want to impact the world in this way. Everyone wants to be a doctor, and you can be a doctor, you can come up with a cure for cancer, you can come up with a cure for coronavirus, but to duplicate that vaccine 25 to 30 million times so that it can actually reach the people, you're going to need engineers. So in a selfish way, I wanted to be indispensable and be important, but ultimately I wanted to, contribute what I can to the world and make a difference in that way, and that's what inspired me.
Really good. I always say that engineers are problem solvers. You can go find the problem, but it's either we solve it directly or you will need the help of an engineer to solve it, and that's it. That's all that we do.
We have a bank, Standard Bank, and many years back, the slogan for Standard Bank was simpler, better, faster. And that's basically what an engineer does. That's what we're supposed to do. Make things simpler, better, and faster. And I know one. It's actually one of the managers where I work. He's the one that actually made me remember that. And he used to always say this to us. Remember what Standard Bank says? Simpler, better, faster. And that's what engineers do.
How would you describe your everyday work as an engineer? Do you have days that you're doing the same thing over again, or almost every day brings about its unique, every day has its own uniqueness?
Okay, in a plant environment, you have your days where things become monotonous and it's the same. So if your plant is running well, every day is going to be fine. You're going to produce what you need to. You're going to get your outputs. You're going to get your specifications, and it does become the same. But for the majority of the time, working in an operations environment, it's not like a lab where everything is perfect. So there are things always wrong. There's always things to fix. There's always things to improve. So every day is different. You can go to work in the morning and everything is fine, and you think to yourself, wow, yesterday was such a tough day, and now look at the outputs that we got, and it can take 1 minute. 1 minute for everything to go AWOL, and then that's the rest of your day gone. Fixing, troubleshooting, and so every day is a different.
You mentioned this earlier. I was going to ask you what your route was into engineering, whether you did GCSEs, A levels. How does it work in South Africa?
Where, like, I know some universities they call it a BEng.
Okay.
But for me, it was a Bachelor of Science, so it was a proper university degree. You get your technicons where you can do a B.Tech or an M.Tech or a diploma in chemical engineering. In those cases, you would study for maybe 2 years. You get a diploma and then you work for 2 years.
So is it like an apprenticeship, or it's different?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
It would be like that cases. But for me, I went straight to university. I studied, and at the end of every year, I did vacation work. So I would go to a company and work with them as like an intern.
Okay.
Over the holidays. So that's how I got some working experience. And at the end, I obtained a BSc, so that's a Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering, and I did my honors. It was worked into the degree. So the way it was structured at my university was your honors was part of the degree. You didn't have to apply separately to do that.
What advice would you give to some young person, a future engineer, maybe someone in high school, secondary school, who is considering engineering?
There's not a lot that I can say actually. Okay, couple things that stand out for me is, typically the people that, like I know from when I was in school, the people, your group at school, socially, that wants to do engineering, it's normally the high flyers, the nerds. And the nerds are normally the quiet guys that don't like to interact much with others. They just like to sit in their books all day, but that's not going to be enough. If you are thinking of pursuing engineering, you need to be social, because with engineering, it's paired with technology, it's paired with innovation. As the world is changing every day, as technology is changing every day, engineering principles, engineering techniques subsequently change, and you need to be social. You need to ask. You need to ask, you need to go out, you need to network, because that's how you learn. Engineering is all about learning. You can get your degree, you can know the engineering book, the whole 1,100 some odd pages, you can know everything in there. It's not going to help you. You need to be able to speak, you need to be social. It's all about working in a team, because you cannot achieve something on your own. You can maybe come up with an idea on your own. You can even come up with this solution. But executing, you have to do it in a team. And from experience and from what I've seen in the short period of time that I'm an engineer so far, you can't do anything on your own.
Yeah.
You need a team. So I think why I highlight that point is because I think it's something that is not spoken about when asked this question of what advice can you give someone who wants to pursue engineering. It's something, because it's not something I was told, because I was a very quiet person. I was very timid, you know. I would be very scared to ask a question. But I realized that once I start opening up, that's how you learn, that's how you grasp, and that makes you a better engineer. Because being an engineer is not about knowing everything in the book. Because that's another reality you need to know. You can know everything in the book, but the first day you're at work, everything from the book, forget it, because nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
If something was supposed to react a certain way, because that's how I learned it, guaranteed 90% of the time it's not going to be like that when you see it in reality. And you need to be adaptive to that. You need to embrace, you know, your critical thinking, because one of the traits you pick up even during university, during study, is that critical thinking, that urge to problem solve all the time. You know, harness that and don't lose it. You know, keep your creativity, you know, don't push it to the side. Things like creativity, keep it, apply it. Even if you're gonna apply creativity in making a birthday card for your friend, trust me, it's little things like that that helps you as an engineer. I know, like, I will try and, you know, okay, I'm in a buzz now. I need something to be done, and I don't have this and I don't have that. You can't just sit back and say, oh, this is the things that I need and I don't have it. You hustle and you make a plan. And you get what you need done. And that's the principle you need to learn to be a successful engineer. You don't need to have, you know, just having the paper to say, I have a BSc, or I have a BEng, I have a master's. It means nothing if you can't use that and apply it. And I think we all need to remember that. Another piece of advice would be is try to get a lot of hands-on experience. It helps. So I know when I was at university, I learned how to weld. I did a welding course. We all had to, us females even. So it helps, because when I did go to work and I saw people welding, I was able to see, oh, I think you're not welding that correctly. It's going to break, or it's not going to hold strong. Or I'll be able to identify the type of welding you're using. It's good things to know.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's information or advice that I would give.
I like the way you say teamwork, because I feel like if in any industry that you get into, you will end up working with other people. It could be engineers, it could be people in finance, it could be anybody, health and safety. And I feel like sometimes people don't realize it. They feel like they're going to be working alone, and then they get surprised that they need to be talking and working with 20 different people, and then they feel so overwhelmed all at once. And I'm like, nah, we need people around us to be able to do our everyday work everywhere. How would you
learn?
Pardon?
I'm saying it's also how you learn as an individual. Those people you're going to meet with, they're going to be all different personalities, different cultural backgrounds, and you need to be able to adapt. And I've seen situations with my own eyes where, you know, there's just no coherence in a team setting, and you just end up having futile conversations, futile discussions, because people don't want to be open-minded.
How would you describe modules in engineering to future students, and did you have any favorite subjects whilst in school?
subjects were interesting. They were interesting. I'm not gonna lie, they were tough. They were very tough, but they were very interesting because when you're at school, I think the closest thing is your physics, chemistry, maybe a bit of computers, coding, that kind of thing. That's and mathematics. I think that's where it ends. I think for school. So when you come to university, different board games, you are exposed to new concepts and things that maybe you didn't even hear before. And quite often, when you're sitting in the lecture and your lecturer is giving you this, teaching you something, and it's this weird name, but when he breaks it down, you're like, oh, okay, I understand, because that's what happens in a simple application in life. So engineering concepts are all around us all the time, and I think that's the beauty of it. But yeah, they were interesting. I know in first year we started off doing like subjects like chemistry, organic chemistry, general chemistry, applied. Then we did physics, we did a lot of calculus, and then they sort of eased us into engineering by starting us off with basic principles of engineering, of chemical engineering rather. Mass and energy balances, because that's sort of the crux of any process engineering problem to solve. They start you off that way, and then say towards the second semester, they start doing specialized subjects like mass transfer, reactor technology, process modeling, thermodynamics, things like that. My favorite was, and will always be, mass transfer. I loved it. Distillation columns, transfer of mass, phase equilibria, those things, it's just phenomenal to me. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. We got to simulate, equipment using Aspen software. It was really interesting, very fun.
Okay. About your engineering career plus experience, this is including uni till now. Have you gotten to any point that you felt like you want to quit, you want to give up? If so, why? And if you stayed, to why?
I didn't. There were many times. From the time I was in university, there were many times. But okay, through university, the times when I thought of quitting, so I made it, so I didn't quit. Okay. But I realized in those moments I was reacting on emotion. So emotion and fatigue, and once you just calm yourself down and sit back and think, you know what, this is the reason why I wanted to pursue this. I knew at the onset it was not going to be easy. I know personally I had people talk me out of it. Don't do engineering because it's very difficult and people don't make it. Telling me that the class starts off with 200 people, and by the end of the first semester 25% leave. And pretty enough, with my year, that wasn't the case. Class was still full at the end of first semester. So in those moments where I thought of quitting, I had to just sit back and be like, oh, you can do this, stop it, put on your big girl pants now, it's fine, stop being emotional. Because an emotion is temporary. You can feel happy now, and then 1 hour later something will happen and you feel sad, but you don't feel that way all the time. And then I pick myself up, and you know what, when you get the frustration out of the way, it paves the way for you to fix or to complete what you actually wanted to do but struggled with in the first place, that sort of made you want to say, let me quit. So yeah, I think
you're right. Almost everybody, when you start getting into engineering, they're like, it's so difficult, why are you killing yourself, go do business, go do management. And I think maybe as current engineers, you probably need to change that language. It is a difficult program, yes, but it's not something that we should, I don't want us to lie to people, but we shouldn't also scare people away from it, because I think for some people, when they hear difficult, the word difficult, that's it, we've lost them. and they could, who knows, they could have been really great engineers. What support systems did you have that kept you grounded, that has kept you grounded?
First and foremost is God. Because in those moments when you feel like quitting and where you maybe feel endangered, I know in my job, I felt physically endangered at some point. The only person that you can turn to is God, and I must say God has never let me down. I've had so many cases where I'm just sitting there and being like, Jesus, please just help me get through this. Just help me get through this. And that's been my biggest support. But also my family, very supportive of me. I was very fortunate that a lot of my friends are chemical engineers. So they also understand, they understand what you're going through to some extent. They won't fully understand, but they do understand because they know they've done chemical engineering as well. And one person I must make mention of is my mentor.
Okay.
Her name's Vingani. She's also a very inspiring woman in mining, woman in engineering, lady, very fine lady that I met during back work many years back, and we've interacted since. And I learned so many things from her that that I will use in industry in years to come, because we are engineers, but we also want to be leaders.
Yep.
And I'm very specific by saying a leader and not a manager, because a leader will motivate and inspire the next generation, and they're subordinates. And I learned key things from her that I use and I would use and would not compromise on. And she's been a real support. I can just call her at any time and be like, Bianchi, I don't know, this standby is really killing me and I don't know if I can make it. And then, she'll talk us, we will have a chat about it and it's fine. So I had quite a lot of support.
Most people think engineers are boring people. So I want you to tell us something that you do that you consider to be fun, that is out of engineering. Nobody would even consider an engineering doing that.
I don't know if they do this, but I like to engage the creative side of my brain. You get the critical side and the creative side. So I like to engage the creative side. I like painting. So I just randomly decided one day, today I want to learn how to paint, and I sort of just went and bought art supplies and tried it. And I'm not that bad. So I tried watercolors. I've done acrylics. The oil painting didn't work out, but I'm not giving up. But I enjoyed that. I enjoy cooking and baking a lot. I don't really get to do it much, but I really enjoy that. I do yoga. I like learning new things. So I just decide, okay, I want to learn maybe the next thing that I identified I want to learn is professional photography.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going for next, especially now that, we can go out and we don't have to stay at home all the time. There's things to take photographs of.
Yeah.
So I want to basically anything to do with the creative side. I would rather, if I like gardening.
Okay.
It sounds like an old lady kind of thing to do, but I enjoy it. Something, I don't know, it feels really nice on the inside, planting something and then, looking after it and then you see it grow, especially if it's like a fruit or something. It's very exciting. And I know my friends, I have one friend, and we'll be sending pictures to each other. And just the other day, she told me, she was like, just look, I have tomatoes growing. The tomatoes grew. And people will laugh at us, but we get so excited by that.
So that brings us to the end of this conversation. I want to say thank you very much once again for sharing your experiences, for sharing your time as well with us about your engineering career in metal mining industry, mostly under the umbrella of chemical engineering, and then also inspiring our future engineers that they need to start getting out of the box, especially when it comes to things like teamwork. And then also asking questions. Nobody knows everything. So there's always going to be that learning process. And I do appreciate you sharing all of this with us, because it's definitely going to make an impact on someone who's going to watch this video later on. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thanks for having me.